Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So as it is the end of 2019 and actually technically the beginning of 2020, that's a weird one to say, I thought it might be a good opportunity to take a look at the channel, see where things are, and discuss where we've been in the last year. So let's get right into it. So what happened in 2019? One of the things I did in 2019 was I ran sort of a bit of a mini experiment where we went from 1 hour videos 5 days a week, and I dropped it down to half-hour videos, but we posted 10 times a week. Each one of my games, which I was running 5 games at a time, I posted 2 videos a week. The idea being to see if I got any increase in watch time or views, since half an hour chunks are a little bit more digestible than 1 hour chunks. It turns out I didn't. Pretty much the views and watch time stayed basically the same. It didn't really change. And as it turns out, doing 10 videos a week is a little bit more work than doing 5 hours or 5 videos a week. It's the same amount of time, so you think it would kind of be the same, but actually it's not really. It's there's certain parts to doing the videos that are independent of how long the video is. And so I had doubled my work on those, and so ultimately it was taking a lot more time and effort to put those together, and I wasn't really getting anything from it. So I went back to 1 hour videos 5 times a week, and that seems to work out pretty well. I think that's where we're going to stick for a while unless something changes. So that was one experiment we did. I'm glad I did it, and but I think we're back to where we started. So yeah. The second thing I want to talk about is Patreon, like where the money went that I made this year on Patreon. So basically, I did 3 things with it. One, I bought the intro thing that you guys just saw a few minutes ago. I had a professional artist do that for me. He also designed the logo that I use, and you'll see it in the lower right-hand corner. It's pretty much all over my site now at this point. So I hope you guys like them because they were not cheap. So yeah, I did that. The third thing I did with that money was I went out and bought a used PlayStation 3, which is what I'm using to play God of War right now on. So that wasn't too expensive, actually. That was relatively cheap. But yeah, I got that for playing some older games. I might do some older stuff on that. So yeah, that's where that money's kind of gone. As for what we're going to do with money in the future, I don't really know yet. I will use it to put into the channel in some respect. I don't use that money to buy games. I use my own personal funds for that. We'll see what comes up. There's always something that comes up, something that I think about. It would be nice to have that. So I'm sure we'll use it for something useful for the channel in the future. So let's talk about a minute about how the channel did in 2019. So I'll pull up our 1 year or our year-to-year comparison of views in total on the channel. Now this goes all the way back to 2011. For some reason, I think I signed up for a YouTube channel back then, but I wasn't actually putting any content. I just signed up for it so that I could put up likes and dislikes and all that kind of stuff and subscribe to channels. I wasn't really planning on doing anything with it. It wasn't until 2014 that we actually did my first video and got a total of 600 views for the entire year. I think it was late in the year that I started in 2014. I think September or something like that. Anyway, so basically in terms of views for the video from 2018 to 2019, we had 68,582 views, and we went to 69,549. So about 1,000 hours more. Not quite 1,000 hours more, but pretty close. View time, let's be honest, it's essentially flat. At least it didn't go down. And by the way, this is exactly to December 31st, 2019. So it is a finalized number, unless YouTube does any adjustments after the fact. It is the entire year. So we were basically flat from 2018 to 2019, which is fine. That's the number of views. For watch time, it's basically the same story. 8,660 to 8,668. So basically flat, and this is fine. Watch time is one of the metrics that YouTube uses to determine if your channel is eligible for monetization. You need 4,000 hours a year, and you can see we're just about double that. So we've got plenty of watch time to be eligible for monetization of this channel. What we don't have is the subscribers, and this is where things are a little less good this year. Unfortunately, we significantly dropped subscribers in a year-to-year basis. So we had 266 in the total of 2018. That's new subscribers, by the way. I dropped to 144, so about half, roughly, which is too bad. So right now, in total, we're just shy of 800 subscribers. So we need only roughly 200 more to get to the subscriber, the monetization level, because you need 1,000. So we'll see what happens in 2020. Hopefully, we can bring that back up a little bit. If we do as well as we did in 2018, we will actually hit the monetization level. So let's hope for that. So yeah, we dropped a little bit in 2019. No big deal. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not crying about the fact that we went down. It's always nice to go up, but if you do go down, you go down. You're not going to go up every single year, so that's fine. So anyway, that's where things are with the channel right now. We're still not a monetized channel because of our subscriber numbers, but we're pretty close. Hopefully in 2020 we will get back to that level and be remonetized sometime next year. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys. So as for the games that we're playing, the IPs, as you might hear me refer to them as IPs, intellectual properties. So as always, we're doing 5 different games. At the time that I record this, what you guys are seeing is Yakuza 0, Batman Arkham Origins, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Of those games, actually, Horizon Zero Dawn, by the time you see this, I think episode 99 will have posted, or it's just about to post. That series ends on episode 100, so it's just about done. That is the longest series that I have done that I've actually completed to 100%. There's been a couple of others that have been a little bit longer. Dungeons and Dragons Online was longer, had more episodes, and so did Skyrim, but neither one of those did I finish. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Yeah, that's going to be the longest episode that I've ever done, or longest series that I've ever done. So pretty good. No complaints about that. It was a good series. Not my most watched series, but I had quite a blast with it. Beyond that, I think God of War will probably be the next series that I finish, because it's a pretty short game. We're about halfway through it right now. Let's see, I just recorded episode 6, and we're halfway through the game, basically. So it's not going to be very long, 10, 12, 14 episodes, something like that. So that'll probably be the next one we finish up, and we will go into the next game on that one, God of War 2. So that's going to be the plan. Batman Arkham Origins is coming up on its end. We're kind of in cleanup mode right now, getting pretty close to being done with that one. And again, we'll go straight into the next game, which in this case is going to be Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. And then after that, we'll go to Batman Arkham Knight, and that'll finish up that series. But it'll take a little while. Yakuza 0, I am probably about a third of the way through that. It's a pretty long game, so I don't anticipate us finishing it anytime soon. I don't know that I'm going to do any more Yakuza games, although I've enjoyed it. It's a pretty fun game. I think I've got the idea, and I'm not really seeing any reason to go on with that. I think I'm going to swap that out with a different IP when we finish Yakuza 0. We won't go on to any more Yakuza games. And of course, Horizon Zero Dawn, like I said, is just about done. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a long game. According to the completion percentage on that game, we're a third of the way through that game, which is complete nonsense. We are not anywhere near a third of the way through that game. I'm not really sure why the completion percentage is going up so fast. I don't think it should be going that fast. I anticipate it slowing down quite a bit. And I've seen a little bit of that over the last few weeks, where it only goes up by about 1/3% or so each episode. I expect it's going to slow way down, but because we got a lot of collecting to do of various things, and so that game's going to take a while. I expect it to be sort of in the range of Horizon Zero Dawn in terms of number of episodes, maybe even higher. So, but yeah, that one's still going. Having a blast with that one. That's a great game, and it's actually my most well-watched series. So hopefully people are enjoying it. I know I am. It's a great game. So anyway, that's the current IP list. Let me talk about just a minute about future IPs. Now, I went over some of the games that we're about to finish. We're going to go into another game of the same series, and I'll talk about those all the time. That's not a problem. Like the Batman Arkham Origins, and then we'll go to Blackgate, and then we'll go to Night, things like that. What I generally don't do is talk about when we switch IPs. Like, for instance, when we finish Horizon Zero Dawn, there is not, to this date, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, so we're going to switch IPs into something else, and I'm not going to tell you what those are. I generally don't, for a couple of reasons, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but the reason I don't tell you guys what IPs are coming out is because right up until the minute that I actually record them, they're subject to change. I'm one of those types of people that get really excited about a particular title and might swap over to that right at the last minute. I don't want to tell you guys what it's going to be in advance, and then suddenly, we come up with something totally different. I think I know what it's going to be, but I have not recorded the first episode of the next game yet. I'm scheduled to do so this next upcoming weekend, so I'm pretty sure I know what we're going to do, but I'm not going to tell you what it is quite this minute. So yeah. Also, it kind of keeps the suspense going. I kind of like that you guys maybe don't quite know what's going to come up in the future. There's arguments to be made about teasing the next IP and stuff, but there's a little bit of element of suspense that keeps it interesting. So that's why I really don't talk about future IPs when we switch IPs like that. So you guys will just have to stay tuned and find out what's coming up to replace Horizon Zero Dawn. What else? Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is where I kind of get into kind of my procedures. Last time I did this, which I think was in 2018, I talked quite a bit at length about how I keep track of where I am with all 5 of my games, and all the steps that we go through to record and get them edited and get them up to you. I like to do that. I like to put in some aspect of what I'm doing, or how I do things, just so you guys have a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look of that stuff. I think what I want to do this year is talk about when I do not 100% game, because there's an implied promise when I start a game on this channel that we will do the entire game from start to finish, 100%ing it, which means showing everything the game has to offer, usually bar trophies. I don't usually go after all the trophies, although sometimes I will, depending upon the game. More often than not, trophies are linked to multiplayer stuff or playing the game multiple times. And I won't do that on camera because no one wants to see that. We play the same game over again just for the sake of a trophy. And multiplayer stuff I have absolutely no interest in most of the time, with some few exceptions. But for the most part, stuff on this channel is single player stuff. So I don't usually bother with the trophies unless they exclude all that stuff. That was the case with Horizon Zero Dawn pretty much. We basically platinumed that game, although there was one element to it that required a second playthrough, which actually I'm working on my own off camera right now, but you guys may end up not seeing it because there's no real reason for me to, unless I can finish it before the next Horizon Zero Dawn gets posted, which is going to be this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you guys the full platinum from that. Yeah, so bar trophies, the implied promise is that we complete the entire game, start to finish, showing you everything there is to see. Sometimes I do some stuff off camera, but I generally talk about what I did off camera. It's usually stuff that's kind of grindy, like for instance in I haven't done this yet, but in Red Dead Redemption 2, there's a lot of hunting that I have to get done. There's no real reason for me to show that on camera. I'm just going to be hunting for perfect pelts. So I'll probably do that off camera, and I'll just let you guys know what I did. Stuff like that. Another thing that I do off camera is like gold starring missions. So I'll do the mission on camera for the first time, kind of spoiler free for myself. I usually won't get gold stars on the missions, and then I'll do that off camera, and I'll let you guys know that I've done those off camera. But generally speaking, you guys see the entire game when I do them, and that's the implied promise that I make when I start up a game. I have broken that promise a couple of times during the course of my playthroughs. There's basically 3 times that I can think of that's happened. Dungeons & Dragons Online was one of them, DDO. Skyrim was the second one, and South Park, The Fractured But Whole was the third one. So let me talk about those, and let me say why that happened. Now for DDO, that's a MMORPG, and I was never expecting to be able to finish that game. There's really no end to them, and the method I was using to play it was a solo run through, which the game is not designed for. So generally speaking, I had done that in the past kind of on my own, just to see if I could do it. I could get up to level 10, 11, 12, something like that, before the game started to get too hard to do single player. It really is designed for multiple player, like 6 people really, to go in and do it, and I was doing them by myself. That ended actually a little earlier than I expected, right around level 5, because of a new system that the developers had put in, which basically ended any chance of being able to solo those things. So yeah, anyway, that one, I knew we were never going to get to 100%. I wasn't really intending to. I knew we were going to have to stop at some point. It just stopped a little sooner than I thought it was going to. Now, the other 2, Skyrim and South Park, let me talk about those. So basically, 3 things have to happen in a game for me to not 100% it. First and foremost, basically, I have to lose interest in the game. If I'm not enjoying it, my feeling is that I'm not going to make good videos. As much as I will try to, it's going to come through that I'm not really into the game. So that has to be one aspect of it. The second aspect is the game has to be not doing very well as far as views and or watch time. So in the case of Skyrim, the views on that game were down. In the case of South Park, actually the views were okay, but the watch time was pretty terrible. People were clicking on it, but they weren't actually watching the episodes. And I don't know if that's because they could sense that I really wasn't that into it anymore. I'm not really sure why. That's just, you really never know what the reason is between the links between watch time and views. So the third thing is that we have to be some distance away from the end of the game, some minimum distance. If we're like right at the end and I lose interest in the game and not too many people are watching me play the game, but we're right at the end, I'll push through and finish it off. But if we're a ways away, like more than 10 episodes or so, I may drop it early. So if all 3 of those things happen, I lose interest, it's not doing very well, and we've got some distance to go before the end of the game, I will drop a game under those conditions. And that is exactly what happened with both Skyrim and South Park, The Fractured But Whole. Those games just weren't doing very well. I had stopped being interested in them, and we had a ways to go before the end. Now, with South Park, I actually did 100% the game, sort of. I got everything that I was supposed to get, bar the combat stuff, which was just grindy crap, basically. The one thing that I didn't do was one of the DLCs. We did 2 or 3 of the DLCs. There was one DLC that was a combat-oriented DLC that would have taken me 10 weeks to do, and it was just really a grind, and I just didn't want to do it, and nobody was watching anyway. So I was like, no, you know what, we're not doing this. I'm just not going to. I think I had one person complain about it, but you know what, it would have taken too long. I was interested in moving on, and basically no one was going to watch it, so I dropped it. But if those 3 things are not happening, like for example, Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't actually do all that well. I think because it's a long series, it doesn't get a whole lot of views. It doesn't get a whole lot of watch time. But I don't care because I'm really into it. I really enjoyed that game. That was actually one of my favorite games to play every week, was Horizon Zero Dawn. So regardless of the fact that you guys weren't watching me while I played it, I was going to finish it anyway. So those 3 conditions were not met, even though the game wasn't doing particularly well. And then you have games like, Red Dead Redemption, where I'm both enjoying it and it's doing well. So, that one's in no danger of getting cut off early. So anyway, I'm into all of my games, really. I mean, I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression. Generally speaking, I really enjoy playing all the games that I play. It's pretty rare that I stop enjoying a game. Doesn't happen too often. Probably the one, if I had to pick a least favorite game that I'm playing right now, it's probably Yakuza. But I'm still enjoying it. It's not reached a point yet where I would think, I don't want to play this anymore. I've never started or sat down at the computer and thought, oh man, we got to start Yakuza, which did happen during Skyrim. During Skyrim, very definitely I was sitting down going, oh god, I got to get through this. Skyrim was very difficult because the game was so heavily modded. It was very crashy. It usually took me 2 to 3 hours to get through that game with enough content to get an hour's worth of video ready, just because it would crash to the desktop so often. And so it was very definitely a point where I was dreading firing up Skyrim every week. That is not the case with Yakuza. I do very much enjoy going in and playing it, but probably of the games, maybe the least amount. That's probably my least favorite, but it's still good. It's still good. I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying it. So yeah, all the games that I'm playing right now, I'm really enjoying. Batman Origins, I'm enjoying more than I thought I would. That is probably the least good of the Batman games, and I'm still really having fun with that. Yeah, and like I said, God of War is a lot of fun. Red Dead Redemption is a lot of fun. So they're all good games. I don't generally pick games that I'm not going to enjoy. So anyway, okay, I think that's about all I wanted to talk about. The channel is, as I have said, I think we're doing all right. We're not a huge channel. We're a small YouTube channel, and we're doing okay. We're doing pretty steady on everything. Views and watch time. Subscribers, we went down a little bit. Impressions, let's look at impressions a little bit. Now, impressions, they only just started tracking in 2018, but we actually increased pretty significantly in impressions. So that's not a bad deal. If you don't know what impressions are, that's the little thumbnails that come up when you finish watching a video, or the ones that come up along the side of the screen, depending upon what platform you're looking at, or when you go to your homepage and there's a whole bunch of anytime you see a thumbnail, that's an impression. And so these are the number of times our thumbnails have come up on the channel in the last year. So 861,000 times, which is not too bad. Our click-through rate, I think, sits at around 4%, so it went down from last year a little bit. So, but I mean, 4% is not bad. You might think that's not real great, but actually, consider the number of thumbnails that come up on your screen when you go to the home page, or even when you finish watching a video. I think 12 videos come up. So every time one of my videos is shown, 4% of the time, some people are clicking on it and going to mine as opposed to everybody else's. So I mean, that's not bad. That's pretty good. I think the average on YouTube is around 2.5%, if I remember right. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. So, I mean, we're not doing bad. I have no complaints. I'm not in any danger of shutting down the channel or anything because nobody's watching. So I think we're doing okay. I would like to get to 1,000 so we could get back to monetization. That would be nice. It's not my primary focus, but it's a milestone. It's something that I keep track of. It's just a place I want to get to, just to say that we've gotten to it. So we're doing all right. I'm not too terribly displeased. So anyway, all right, guys, we'll stop here. I've babbled on long enough. You probably don't care anymore. So yeah, that's the update for 2019, and let's hope 2020 is a good year for everyone. So yeah, I will see you guys in the games. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to comment, like, and subscribe. All these things really help me out. I'd like to say a big thanks to all my patrons whose names are appearing on the screen right now. Thanks a lot, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more great content, consider joining my list of patrons. There's a link on the screen in the bottom left corner. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.